the question of capacity development has been an issue in aid since its beginnings in the 1960s and even before. Especially the topic of technical cooperation, experts, training, educational scholarships has been an issue of some controversy for at least 40 or 50 years. And in the past 20 years, we have had multiple international agreements to modify particularly technical assistance and the way we do technical assistance in developing countries. Somehow, these issues never seem to come to fruition. They have, however, been resuscitated in the context of the aid effectiveness agenda, particularly the Paris Declaration agenda in 2005. And that has followed its course. And since 2008, when we produced, we meaning the international community in collaboration with the several Southern participants, produced a Bonn consensus of capacity development priorities, which were then incorporated into the Accra Agenda for Action in 2008. We've been engaged in a learning process on the key priorities of capacity development in the Accra Agenda for Action, which has led us to today, where in light of the considerable amount of evidence that's been collected in these key areas, these priority areas of capacity development for aid effectiveness, we've managed to collaborate with our Southern partners so that they have now moved into a leadership position in terms of formulating the key messages for the upcoming Busan conference in Korea at the end of this year. And I'd like to stop just a second on the question of the Southern leadership part of it, because I think it's probably the most significant part of our entire journey in capacity development. The first 50 years were essentially a donor-to-donor discussion. We did plenty of work, analysis, compilation. We assembled major pronouncements, principles that we all adhered to, committed to, but it's only now that we're starting to get close to some real action in this area, particularly because we have an increasing emergence of Southern leadership in the agenda. It's our conviction that donors, speaking to donors, will never reform their own systems independently, but that we need this type of Southern perspective which carries the capacity development discussion into the beneficiary, realm of the beneficiary. The foundations of aid are built around the domestic interests and perspectives of each of the donor countries. Embedded deeply in our aid systems is a headquarter-centric perspective toward the way we conduct our aid programs. It's most probably the reason why we've had basically donor-to-donor discussions of this topic up until now. And it's only with the Paris Declaration and the opening of new space for discussion that came out of the Paris Declaration in the last 5 years that the Southern community has really been invited to come forward substantively and take charge, take a stronger leadership role in this area. But the end point, the practical point today that I'd just like to emphasize is that the sum total of what we've done over the last 5 years in capacity development seems now to be bearing some fruit, and the reason for optimism is basically because we have Southern champions who are stepping forward now, taking charge of the dossier, promoting change, and asking to be heard by the donor community, and I have every reason to believe that in Busan they will.